Hi there everyone, and welcome along. Today we're looking at 3 cinemas in Holt in Norfolk. The Electric Pavilion, the Co-op Hall and the purpose-built Regal, all of them gone and demolished. On the North Norfolk coast at the seaside town of Sheringham, you will find the North Norfolk Railway. It's a popular little steam heritage line known as the Poppy Line. The track runs from Sheringham via Weybourne to the small town of Holt, and Holt is the subject of cinemas for this video. Now I love this little railway line, and the towns of Sheringham and Holt are very picturesque and well worth a visit. Okay, let's get going under our own steam. Holt's first cinema, the Electric Pavilion, opened in 1916 and was situated at the rear of what was then Robinson's Garage in the marketplace. It was the brainchild of one C.W. Jenks. Although called electric, there was no electricity in Holt until the 1930s, and a gas generator was employed. The building was basically a tin shed with a very leaky tin roof when it rained. Now the more expensive seats were wicker chairs and could be moved about to avoid all the many drips. You weren't so lucky if you sat on one of the forms at the front. Jack Loads was one of the projectionists, and of course the projector was hand-cranked. And he once admitted to John Jarvis that if he wanted to go home early, he would just turn the handle faster. Goodness knows how the pianist kept up. Now the most successful film of 1916 was The Battle of the Somme, the true story of the epic 5-month battle at the front. The film played at the Electric Pavilion Monday, December the 4th, 1916 for 1 week. And to advertise the film, the manager used a photograph of the 8 Cook brothers from the town, who were all soldiers. It's worth remembering too that at that time the population of the country was 40 million, and that 20 million people watched that film in the first 6 weeks of release. That's half the population. Apparently that record was not broken until Star Wars in 1977. The Electric Pavilion closed in 1920 after just 4 years of operation. Also worthy of mention is the Co-op Hall cinema, which was situated behind the Co-op store in the town. It opened in the 1920s and had 400 seats, and the roof didn't leak, but you still had to sit on wooden forms. Emily Cook, seen here in the light dress, was the pianist for the silent films, but she moved to the cash desk when talkies arrived. Behind Emily is projectionist Leslie Brewer, and behind him is Tony Davidson, and you can only just see the top of his head. A week after the Regal opened, the Co-op Hall mysteriously burned down. Now, the timing might have been a little suspect, but don't forget at that time it was nitrate film and highly flammable. The Regal was located at 25 Peacock Lane in Holt and was opened on the 8th of March 1937 with Fred McMurray in Texas Rangers. On Thursday the film changed to Swing Time with Fred Astaire and Ginger Rogers. It was part of the Bostock cinema circuit and was built in 7 weeks by Thomas Gill and Son of Norwich, and the architect, also from Norwich, was J. Owen Bond. The manager was Mr. J. Oliver. The Regal had a 14-foot deep stage, the proscenium was 28 feet wide, and it had 550 seats, and was equipped with Cayley projectors. One of the projectionists was Archie Fuller. He started as a boy during World War II, and he stayed until the mid-1950s. His sister Joyce was an usherette at the Regal as well. Now here's a picture of Regal usherette Millie Reed proudly showing off the original Regal uniform in the late 1930s. Now the Regal was a very successful little cinema, and as is usually the case with small independent cinemas, it was down in no small part to the sheer enthusiasm of manager and staff. Kids' Christmas parties and carnival floats all helped to make the Regal an integral part of the community. CinemaScope was fitted in 1955 and the Regal cinema continued until it was closed by the Bostock Cinema Circuit on September the 15th, 1963. The final film was James Bond Dr. No. Manager Baron Peart went on to run a very successful cycle business in the town until he retired in the 1990s. On Whit Monday 1964, the cinema was opened again by Douglas Bostock and East Coast Cinemas due to an upturn, they said, in the fortunes of cinema generally. The new manager was Mr. J.S. Oliver, and the projectionists were John Ricks, Dennis Salmon and Alan Weimer. The opening film was A Hard Day's Night. On the 7th of May 1965, it was sold to Colin Dashwood, whose brother Roy had taken over the Regal at Wyndham, and you can see our video on that cinema on this site. Now, as an aside, it's interesting to note that the Regals at Wyndham and Holt were identical, even to having the same design of screen curtains. The cinema carried on happily, supported 2 nights a week for a while by bingo, until it was closed for good in the summer of 1968. The final film was Fire Creek, starring James Stewart and Henry Fonda. The Regal opened in 1937 with a Western, and it closed with a Western. Following other uses, including a function room and a snooker hall, the building closed for good on May the 23rd, 2004, and was sadly demolished. Regal Court now stands where once that little palace of film entertained so many. And finally, I'd like to offer my very sincere thanks to Holt's very own Mr. Cinema, John Jarvis, for the many photographs and his wealth of information on not only these cinemas, but many others in Norfolk as well. Well, that's about it for now. Don't forget to like, share and subscribe and all that kind of stuff if you want to. That helps me a lot. And until next time, be good to each other and I'll see you soon. Ta-da, everybody.